welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Tom Vassell.
So many doors! I'm just gonna say what's happening.
I feel like I'm farther in than Sam is here. He's falling off the camera.
I'll be over here like this.
Alrighty.
I got you. I'll rescue you. You start to slide out.
All right.
I'm Sam Healy. Welcome. And I'm.
Oh, everybody saw your list.
I got too.
What do you think? Someone paused it, like trying to read upside down.
I think Sam Healy just had too much Coca-Cola.
Okay, today we're talking about our top 10 games for new players, top 10 introductory games. Many times in board gaming hobby, a lot of people call these gateway games, but I'm trying to
not use that word
move
anymore.
away from that word, I think. I mean, we'll use it. I'll forget, you know.
Yep.
What do you not like about that term?
Well, gateway has a. If you're not into board gaming hobby, gateway's
Hobway?
almost
What is a hobway?
Hobby. If you're not into board gaming hobby, you are almost exclusively that term is used with drugs.
That's what you don't like about it?
Well, I don't. We're not trying to trick people into board gaming.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
I'm not trying to be like, play this board game. In fact,
No, actually, what I don't like about that term, which I guess technically I don't like about introductory games either, is that it sounds like all of these games, this entire category of games is invalid, but as a stepping stone.
yes, I agree on
I
that.
hate that. It's okay for people to play these games and nothing past them.
That's not what I mean whenever I say a gateway game, but that is a perception, yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
like,
we have
just
to
seems
dispel
like,
that at the beginning, right?
yeah, I agree, but that's kind of how it feels to me. Maybe it's because I like games, but a lot of people do. You know, it's this idea of, oh, yeah, you're going to play X game, but we're going to play that twice, and then we put that away, and I teach you a game. It's like, no, I can just play these kinds of games, and you can stop there, enjoy that category of games for the rest of your life. I get fired up about this, man. I'm sick of it. Oh, that's not a real game. That game is for children.
Okay, that being said,
Come on, Cletus.
if you do play these and you feel like there's not enough, there are further games you could go to. But like I do agree with Z, you can stop with these, and many of the ones on my list are my favorite games, and I played thousands.
Yeah. Another aspect of it is that you don't have to start with these. What are you guys doing? Weird.
We had a moment, and don't take that away from us.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
You don't have to start with light games. Light games don't have to be gateway or introductory games. Because you could actually bore somebody to death with a light game. You've got to play to the crowd, so to
Okay,
speak.
I agree, but I would imagine that for the vast majority of people in general, they're not looking for more complex games, and your list is probably wrong.
Saying, yeah, that's probably what you're
I feel
going to think.
I feel like I'm getting ready.
But I am this is an experiential list. A lot of these games are light, but a couple of them are not going to be considered gateway games by you guys. And I'm fine with that because you're wrong.
If this is your first time watching the Dice Tower, if you just showed up here, Games for New Players, realize that there's the occasional moment where we will have some small disagreements.
Mostly with Mr. Sam Healy.
But hopefully between the three of us and
There's
the
at
30
least one
games,
or two or three good games.
I don't know, there may be crossover, I don't know.
I've got half a good game on my list.
There's also a lot of classic games that might fit on this list. Some I didn't put on my list anymore because I've moved past them and put other games on instead.
Yes.
And there are some classics that are still on the list.
Can we talk about how we put our lists together?
I just picked 10. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I was trying to mix it up a little bit. So what I did with this one, my number one is not, this is the best game for introducing somebody to the hobby. That's not how I did this list. I don't know if that's how you did it.
That is how I did it, yes.
Okay. I did it with because I wanted to kind of spread it out a little bit, I took my top 10 mechanisms list, and so I got one game from each of those mechanisms.
Kind of what I did on one of our recent top 10s.
It's not necessarily even a game that is going to be on those lists, because those lists are a couple years old now.
Sure.
That I did always. The how I like each of those mechanisms is about the same, but the game that I picked for this list may not be on one of those other lists because I've moved past some of those games.
Aren't you advanced?
But of course.
No, actually.
Okay, so my 10, I just picked 10 games I thought were good introductory games, and I list them from the simplest of these 10 at 10 to the most quote-unquote complex at number 1. That's it.
All right, I did
So
mine
if you
by
want
how
a
much.
little bit more, you can go towards 1. If you want to lighten it up, go party-ish, towards 10.
I did mine by you should own number 1 more than you should own number 2, which you should own more than number 3. Assuming you are an average random person, obviously some of these games will appeal to some people more than others.
Okay.
But if I was a store, I would have all 10 of these in stock. A game store, for sure.
Got you.
As opposed to, like, I love Feast for Odin, but I'm not sure that necessarily...
Is that on your list?
It's not.
That's a nice list.
I don't think all stores should have all of these games.
I like it, fellas. I'm excited
I
for
also
this.
tried to pick games that were somewhat, I feel like you can get them now.
Oh, I don't worry about that.
Got it.
No, these
You never worry about
these
that.
should be available. But I don't know. Like, it's not my job to publish
I
games. I
didn't
just
check.
yap about them.
Let's roll the
tape.
Roll the clip.
Number 10.
Okay, here we go. My number 10 is hand management. Hand management is my number 10
What's
mechanism.
the code?
I'm not even gonna go there. Not gonna.
I want to know what the.
Dude.
If I don't know what the code is. All right, go ahead.
I don't know what the code is, and 99.9% of the people out there don't know what the code is. So there you have it. My number 10 is hand management, and the one that I picked for this, I think it's a great introductory game, and that is Oni Tama. Oni Tama is an abstract strategy game, but it is also a 2-player game, which is also another thing. If you're
What
introducing
category is this under?
hand management, there are 5 cards in the game.
You don't actually ever put them in your hand.
You have. Oh, come on.
Come on.
Stop it.
No, you. No.
Now you're just being.
Tableau management
Really?
is clearly
Come
what
on.
he meant.
Sure. Anyway,
You know, like
You have
the existential hand.
You have 2.5 cards in your hand throughout the entire game, and the reason you have 2.5 cards is because one is floating out there in the middle, and once you play one of your cards, you put it over here, and it is definitely a hand management game because you have 2 cards in your hand, your opponent has 2 cards in their hand, and you're sharing a third. And you literally have only 5 moves that you can make throughout the entire game. It is also abstract strategy, so there's another aspect of it that I like. It's one of my favorite abstract strategy games. I think this is a superb introductory game for this list. So these 2 jokers can shut it. My number 10, Oni Tama.
Yeah. Be quiet, fools. And if you've played chess, checkers, maybe you want a little something. You want to bring it down from chess, maybe. You want a different abstract game.
Yeah.
Oni Tama.
There you go.
Oh, I thought he was about to say that was his number 10. Is it?
Chess?
No, Oni Tama.
No, I'll put garbage. No, these are good picks. Hand management is my number 10. Because the type of hand management game is a party game called Just One. It's more like word management.
It's a party game. Don't listen to this idiot.
This is a party game for a nice large group of people in which you are going to be trying to discover a word. Everyone sees a word that one player is kept from seeing, and everyone gives that player, whoever the round leader is, a one-word clue on a little dry erase tablet thingy. I don't know, a little thing they have in front of them. So you read a single, what?
Stanchion. It's
like a little, yeah, right, it just sits there. So everybody writes a word on that thing, but then before you show them to that person, all these one-word clues, they're going to get one guess. Before you do that, you have to show them to each other. And if anybody crossed over with your one-word clue, those are eliminated. You flip those face down. The one who is guessing will not see them. It's a really beautifully simple but clever little game. I love this idea. It's such a brilliant idea for a word game. You know, and the words are not necessarily obtuse. It's like the word could be horse.
Yeah.
You know, it could be whatever.
Hamburger.
But if I put saddle on mine, and so does anybody else at the table, that player will not get that clue.
Yep.
So you gotta think a little outside the box, try to be creative, but then everybody goes really creative and they have no idea what they're looking at. It's such a cool game. So if you're looking for a party game that fills that category really well, everybody's gonna keep it kind of light and moving, this is a solid pick. Just One is my number 10.
Alrighty. My number 10 is a category of gamings that has now really gotten more and more prevalent in the past way. And we just got a game in the mail yesterday about this. The Judge Dredd one. They put figures versus figures combat style. That's not everyone's cup of tea, which is why it's my number 10, and that's Wildlands, which is the pre-Judge Dredd version of this game.
Okay.
Now, I almost put on my list the two new games in this one, which is the Funkoverse and the Unmatched, which are both there. I put them there. But those have just started to some degree. They are not fully realized, and maybe in a year or two, these will eclipse Wildlands.
So you basically picked 3 games for your number 10.
You're right. He did say
As
it.
normal.
Roy said you would say that.
Yep.
But I'm talking about Wildlands, actually.
Yeah.
Wildlands is a
Okay.
game where you control a squad of characters, and they're fantasy style, and you're running around trying to collect gems and fighting everybody else. But it's a really simple system. You have this deck of cards. It's also very asymmetrical. And what I like about this game is it's very light, very easy to teach. But I think it offers something that even heavier gamers will play. This is like a game that you can play on different levels to some degree. But at the end of the day, it's still a light tactical combat game. And I think this one would have a lot of fans.
Oof. Yep.
Now, this is the one I'm the iffiest about, maybe, on my
Really?
list, which is why it's my number 10.
I'll be quiet then.
You don't like it?
I don't think it belongs on this list.
Have you played it?
Yeah.
How is it not light? It's pretty light.
For us, sure.
Yeah. It's got a.
Oh, I'm sorry. That Z doesn't think you're smart enough to handle this game, but I do. It's not that complex of a game. You sit there, move guys, and hit
Wait a
people.
minute.
That's it.
Didn't
No,
I
I
just
can say that about any game.
Didn't I just say in the introduction that you don't have to use light games
Yeah,
as gateway games?
Yeah. Well,
And that's pretty much what you just said too, and you gave me a lot of guff about that in the intro.
no, I'm giving you guff about that
I'm just saying.
because I'm saying that most people don't. Most people do need lighter games for playing games and hobbies.
According to who?
According to vast experience along this thing.
Vassal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, it's the
Yeah.
truth. If complicated games were popular, how come they're not being sold in stores everywhere? Come on, that's nonsense to think otherwise. I'm telling you, Feast for Odin, I like it a lot, but I can't play that with most people.
What are
Most
you
people
gonna
don't
say?
want to handle that.
Most
get
people are
that.
dumb.
It has nothing to do with being dumb. It's most people. It's
It's
the same
very
as
easy. Just take a little worker and place them somewhere. See, you can do it with any game.
Anyhow, I think.
Bam, check and mate. End of discussion. I believe
You
is the
can't end the
apropos
discussion.
term to decease.
Anyhow, Wildlands looks complex, but it's not really. You have a deck of cards and a couple guys. You run around the board and fight other people. I think it's a very fun game, and a lot of people haven't heard of this one, which is why I put it on my list. Now, my number 10, Wildlands.
It's a good pick, Tom.
Number 9.
All right. My number 9 is auction and bidding mechanism, and
This
for
cat
that
is
one
so
I
learned.
picked For Sale. For Sale. And another reason I picked this one is because it is a very portable game. Not potable, you can't drink it, but it is portable because it's very small. It's only a couple of decks of cards and a few tokens for money. Maybe not tokens. It depends on the version you have. I think that the pictures
I mean-
it have tokens. I can't remember. Some of the versions have different things.
It's never cards.
No, it's never cards, but it has
tokens.
different kinds of things. I don't know. I know there was differences. Leave me alone. Let me finish.
No.
For Sale is a great little card game. It's very simple. On the first round, you're bidding money to buy properties. In the second round, you're using those properties to bid on different checks, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
different amounts of money that you're going to try to procure. Whoever has the most money at the end of the game, including money left over from first round, is the winner. And it's very, very, very simple. It's basically 2 rounds of just bidding for different things on the table. But it's very cool, it's very fun, and it looks good too.
Right.
So it's a great, great little game. My number 9, For Sale.
Good choice. I like this game.
I agree. That is a good pick, man. All right, my number 2 pick is a dexterity game called Junk Art. Junk Art is going to be your, alternative to Jenga, right? It's got that vibe. It looks nice. It's got a little more artwork going on. The pieces are bizarre. You're not just messing with planks of wood here, but you're getting a lot of interesting shapes. And then in the box, though this doesn't really matter, and you don't have to play all these versions if you don't want to, but in the box there are a bunch of technically different little games that you can play with these pieces. Some of them are going to be a little more confrontational. Some of them are a little more straightforward than others. You can figure out which one you like and just play that. There's even a way in which you can play a series of these, like 3 of them back to back. This is all driven by a little deck of cards that comes in there as well. But basically, stack these things, don't let them fall. And it's got a nice amount of interaction, some of those games as well, where you are picking the piece that the player next to you has to stack on top of their structure. I remember the first time I played this, a lot of phones were coming out and people were taking pictures of what was going on, because they do start to look really neat. The structures that are being built kind of look like those art installations you see in front of universities and so forth. These I'm not sure what it is, but it's large, it's abstract, it's it's cool architecture there, or structure. It's going to get that look going on really quickly, and I like it a lot.
Some people have played this game and gone on to be famous.
Like whom?
I don't know. I don't remember any of these people's names.
Oh, I thought you said famous. I don't know. I figured you named
Like they started stacking art and junk art, and then some guy walked by and was like, "Ooh, ooh."
You got talent, kid. Yeah, see? Number 9, junk art.
Here's how it works, see? The train moves, the station stays here. Get it?
My number 9 is a game that's going to appeal to a lot of people based purely on theme alone, because it's one of the most popular themes in the world.
Cheese eating.
And that's Villainous, because of the whole Disney aspect to it.
Oh, yeah.
And Villainous, which I'm thankful was sold. I think Target's been having it for a long time. I think it might be at Barnes & Noble's too. There's 2 expansions now, which are also standalone games, which I think is a really good thing, right? So if you go in and you're like, oh, I'll buy this game. Oh, no, it's only an expansion. A lot of people don't realize expansions to games even exist. So there's 6 villains in the original game, and then 3 each come after that. And people love Disney. The Disney
2 expansions for this now?
Yes. So the newest one had Scar and
The Lion King,
Yzma.
right?
Yes. Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. She's one of my
The
favorite.
skinny evil lady. Yeah,
Why do we even have that lever? Anyway, I like this game because you play as the villain, but you also play as the good guys fighting the other person's villain. It's a very simple game, take that, but each villain has their own goal. Like Prince John is trying to collect as much power as he possibly can, and Yzma is trying to get Kronk to kill Kuzco, Emperor Kuzco, but Kronk has the tendency to kind of wander off and join the good guys. And so it's really thematic, very different, but it's also pretty easy to play. The game even comes with like a little strategy guide that tells you how to play your character. I really like it. And I think it works really well. It's a good gift to give someone too.
Cool.
You've not played this one yet, have you?
Nope. But I've heard it's not easy to play at all.
I've read it.
I've heard people that like one of the designers of Wasteland Express Delivery Service told me that this game takes too long. Maybe it's easy to play, but it's just.
I wouldn't say it's not easy to play. I think it's plenty easy to play. Villainous, but anyway.
I mean, usually, if you have to have a strategy guide on how to play your people, it means it's not intuitive, which means it's more difficult than it should be. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. I've never played the game, so please take that.
I don't know about that. Anyway, my number 9, Villainous.
Number 8.
Number 8 is Action Point Allowance System.
Oh now we're dropping the big words.
APAS!
The person that this list is for just heard you say Action Point Allowance System and thought, I don't think this hobby's for me.
Okay, here it goes.
Saying.
It means you have a set number of things that you can do on your turn. You have action points, and you spend the action points to do certain things in the game.
That's a little better.
That's all it is.
It's a little better.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's okay. This is really not a scary
Come
hobby.
back!
Here we go.
Don't even worry about this whole action.
Rising 5 Runes of Astros.
That was nice. It's
Rising
pretty.
5 Runes of Astros. This is a deduction game. It's a cooperative game, so that's another thing it has going for it for the gateway or introductory level. A lot of people are, I don't know, a lot of people's nebulous, but I chose that phrase on purpose. A lot of people just kind of when you have confrontation, they're uneasy. In a cooperative game, that confrontation is taken away. You're working together to beat the game.
I agree. A cooperative
so-
game, by very nature, is easy to put on this list.
Yes, absolutely. So it looks great. That artwork from Vincent Dutrait is amazing, and it's used throughout everything in the game. You know, some of the games he's been coming out lately, it's used on the box mainly, and then a lot of the components, it's very almost anemic. But in this one, his artwork is used everywhere, and it makes the game just pop. And it's a very simple game to play. You have a certain number of actions that you can do on your turn. The whole point of the game is to save the planet of Asteros from having an asteroid or its moon crash into it. And so you're trying to do different things to keep that moon marker
That's no moon.
up towards the stop. It's definitely a moon. It's not a space station, but I like the reference.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, I know you're. Anyway, that's my number 8. It's a really great game. It's a great introductory game. It's a co-op game that's really, really fun as well, and it's not difficult as well. So there's a lot going for it. Rising 5, Ruins of Asteros.
I like it.
I think Villainous is easier to play than this.
Really?
Just saying, yeah.
Well, again, I've never played Villainous. So
I haven't played Villainous, but I borrowed it after you were done. I took it home. I read how the game worked, and I brought it right back the next day and gave it to you.
Well, it has nothing to do with whether it's simple or not. That's do
Well,
with
the idea was to use it to play with folks that might like the theme, and I was like, nope, this is outside of that realm, I think. The fact that, asynchrony, by its very nature, makes the game a little harder to learn and play.
what does that mean? Talk about dropping words. What do you mean asynchrony? You mean it's...
Oh, that's like a regular usage English word.
Ask me how many times I've used that word in the last 5 years.
You're a gamer? 37.
No, 0. 37. What are you talking about? What do you mean asynchrony? Because no, seriously, I'm not trolling you.
Maybe I used the wrong word, but like people have different powers.
No, that's
Oh, synchrony is time-based, isn't
yeah.
it?
That's
Okay,
what I
no.
was confused with.
No, the different powers. Each
Variable
person-
player powers.
Yeah, like everybody does.
Everybody
a different
does something
thing.
different.
And in that game, it's really different. Like I do completely different things than anybody else at the
Sure,
table.
but you play the same way.
Yeah,
All right, we're talking
kinda,
too much about my pick. Let's go to yours.
Oh, but your picks are bad. I like talking about them. All right. Anyway, my number 8 pick is Las Vegas. This is a dice
Ooh.
game, and I did purposely pick this one because I think this is a better printing of the game, though it might be harder to find. I like the way it looks better, and it is a simpler game. In this game, you have a bunch of dice of your color. There are 6 spots matching the 6 faces on the dice. Each spot has some money. You chuck dice. You place them in those spots. You got the most dice there. You get money. Guess how you win? There you go.
Wait,
It's
why?
very simple.
Is that
You can
the big
play
box?
this exact version with the new one.
Yeah, but there's more stuff in the box.
You don't have to play with that stuff.
Yeah, sure, but it's still, I like the look of this better, for one thing. And I think all that extra stuff.
Oh, is this the look that you wanted, but the other one is the new one, or the one that's available now?
No, they're both the same. It's
pictures
just different
I showed
boxes.
there were the same.
Ah,
yeah.
gotcha.
The new
Okay.
version has a very different look, and I think it's fine. But
I think it's fine. I just prefer this one.
You prefer, yeah.
And I think it's, they went ahead and took a game that was very light, that fit, honestly, I think this category to a T, and gamered it up.
Gamered it.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, look at this scrawny little bone skeleton. Let's fill it with stuff. It's like, look, you have games for that. This doesn't need that.
all right, well,
I think that's a weird thing.
as a counterpoint, Z's wrong. Because the new
being
version is
very-
amazing. I love the new version. Are
thing
you
is-
kidding me? It's so much fun.
Good thing
I'm
is,
sure it is, but it's
I don't
because
need
you
my
came.
sunglasses because there's a lot of shade up in here.
I don't know. I just don't. I find that a weird practice. This idea of this is a very small, simple game for people who want that. Let's put out a second version with 6 expansions in the same box.
Okay. However, again, having played this, it is literally just one rule that they added with these little module things on it, and they're
All
not
the
that
modules
complex.
are different, though, right?
Sure, but again,
And you're wrong. You're wrong. It's okay.
that's fine.
Anyway,
I think
Las
we'd argue
Vegas.
this
If
much
you
on
want
this
some
list.
dice chucking, this is the one for you.
Boy.
This is really a very simple teach. Makes sense. Most money. It's that kind of like, more of my dice are there. That money's mine. Doesn't get a whole lot simpler than this. I really like it. Las Vegas, number 8. Give us some garbage, Thomas.
My number 8 which is clearly in the abstract strategy category,
Better be a good pick, man.
is Oni Tama. Crossover with Sam. Well, I'm not disagreeing with it being on your list.
Yeah,
I just
course.
wouldn't call it hand management. Anyway,
Definitely. You
Oni
actually have
Tama.
to manage your opponent's hand too.
This is of all the games on my
Dual
list.
hand management.
That's right.
Of all the games on my list, I've had the most success with this one, but that's also because it's easy to teach. And it just every time I teach this, I've yet to have someone go, I don't get it. It's so easy, and yet it offers an incredible depth. I think simplicity to depth ratio, there's very few games that can rival Oni Tama.
Sure.
It's,
I agree.
It's really cool. It's fast, and it changes up each game because you have 5 different cards. So we'll probably hear more about it later, or will we? Did it make your list? Oh, that's too bad.
It's
Not a bad pick, though. This is
It's
a
too
good
good
pick.
for his list.
It's too
I'm only, yeah.
My number 8.
Well, you guys know that whenever we do these kinds of lists, is the known fact my games tend to track really light, which is partly why I'm giving you garbage. But I track, for me, like when we're saying, introductory games, I'm really like going
Light,
really
light,
introductory.
light.
Yeah. Like very basic games.
I
That's all.
guess. I'm not
That's
going
all.
that introductory. I'm going with games that I would play with pretty much anybody. And so far, all the games on my list fit that category.
That's okay. That's your introductory, but I go lighter than that, simpler than that. I usually find myself teaching folks that I really need to make sure there are few exceptions to rules. Like those things will trip people up that I play with anyway. Few moving parts. It's a weird thing unless you've done it with somebody who is clearly not much interested in gaming. And you think, this is simple, yeah. For sale, yeah. That's not a good pick. That is a good pick. But I'll be like, yeah, for sale, simple. Here, first we're going to bid for these, and then there's a second half of the game, and they go, whoa. What do you mean? Like, there's a whole other thing that isn't this? That kind of thing.
I don't even teach the game that way. I say, okay, this is what we're going to do first. We're going to bid for all these properties, and then we do that. And then I say, okay, now we're going to use these properties, and we're going to bid for this
That's a good
thing.
idea.
I don't even talk about the second half.
I don't even talk about the first half. When
You don't? You just say, here, play.
Put money in here.
Yes, have some.
All right, we're done. We'll be quiet, all right? We'll be quiet.
No, I'm fine.
ahead.
I'm just saying that theme is also a mechanism to this. That's why Villainous was on the list, because I think I can say this is why this character's doing this.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
people
I
are like,
gotcha.
I've seen these movies, so that makes sense.
What if they're a theme of Disney, but they've not seen any of the movies?
Then you're a cretin.
Whoa.
Number 7.
What is
My number
happening?
7
What is he doing?
is simultaneous action selection. That just means that everybody chooses what they're going to do on a round at the same time. And the game I'm picking for this is Jamaica. Jamaica is a racing game as well, and it's got a really cutie
Patootie.
pirate, yes, thank you. Piratey theme to it, and the reason I say it's a cute pirate theme is
Patootie.
because it's not gritty.
Happy Pirates Day! Talk like a Pirate's Day!
It's just very
Jamaica!
cartoonish
Good, that's
and that type of thing. So it looks really great on the table, and that's one of the things that I tried to pick for most of the games on my list, is that it pops. It draws attention to itself. I think that's really
Look at me.
important for introductory games or gateway games, because it makes people interested. Oh, what are you doing? That looks amazing. How do you do this? And so I think that's important. Jamaica definitely fits that to a T. It's just a really great game where the person that is in charge of the round rolls 2 dice, and then they choose which die is going to happen in the morning, which die is going to happen in the evening. And then everybody takes their cards and chooses one face down, and then you go around in order, revealing and carrying out the actions on the cards. And you're trying to get around the island of Jamaica first to score the most points and win. It's really a simple game. There's a couple of things that, I usually don't teach combat until we get to it. I just say you can battle people.
Happens the first round.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Just depends on.
Really rare. I guess it
yeah.
depends how many players.
But
There's a lot of combat in this game. You should probably mention that.
It can be, yeah.
If you don't like confrontation, you will fight and fight and fight. And get
It's
your stuff
about
taken.
pirates! Come on now!
I'm just saying.
Come on!
No, that's true.
What? There's fighting in a pirate game?
I have played
Well,
games
there's also
of
no
Jamaica.
murder, and it's about pirates.
I have
just
played.
saying.
I have played games of Jamaica where there was not a lot of combat.
Not when I'm
But
there.
I mean, there has
We're going
usually.
to town.
I mean, it just depends on everybody's cards distributions, when their cards are played, and the numbers that are rolled. You know, you can avoid combat on your own. That doesn't mean that Z's not going to attack me, but I can try to avoid Z. So it just depends. But my number 7, Jamaica.
It's a very pretty
The game that almost Jamaica, I don't like as much as you two guys do, but the game that almost made my list in this category would have been Camel Up, because that simple racing type thing does attract people. We'll get to the end. I'm sure I don't want to spoil of anyone's picks if they're coming on.
All right, my number 7 pick is Karuma. And this is sort of. This has
I wanna take you to Bermuda, Bahama. Sorry, go ahead. I'm done. Just go. You go ahead. Go back. Talk.
Kind of place like bingo is a little bit. You pull a token and then you read
Cool.
it.
That's a good segue. You're actually just. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Anyway, this is a little bit like bingo. Everybody has their own board in front of them. And someone grabs a tile at random. They read the number on it. 31. Everybody finds their 31 tile. And they all simultaneously put it on the board. So this is also simultaneous selection, like Sam was saying. You're trying to make paths where your little people walk from their starting spot all the way to the temple they want to go to, picking up some gems along the way, maybe. If you get to the temple first, before anybody else around the table, you get a bigger bonus if you do it earlier. It's basically it. I've played this with my 7-year-old nephew, and he got it. He played. He enjoyed it. It was no problem. In the same setting, I played with a 60-year-old, and it worked. I like that. I like about this game that it is a great equalizer for not just for complexity, but like for players not having to sit around while other people are thinking or puzzling something out, and there isn't that whole like, okay, well, the young kid at the table now is playing, so we're going to sit here and we're not A, going to be mean to them, or B, tell them what to do. I like that.
Yeah.
It just works, man.
That's cool.
Really like Karuma. So yeah, that's my number 7 pick. Check that one out.
Quick side note: if you're going to get Karuma, make sure you get Karuba, not Karuba the card game.
Yeah, and also not Kariba. That's a different game.
All right. My number 7 is a newer one to the list. It came out, I believe, last year, actually. But I think this one's going to attract people just because of how it looks, and that's the game Planet. Planet is a game in which you start with a dodecahedron, a 12-sided shape.
A what?
I defined it immediately.
A what?
Yes, you did.
A dodecahedron.
A dodecahedron.
Anyway, on this, you are drafting magnetic tiles, actually, and you build a planet over the course of the game. And you're just trying to get habitats of big groups. I want a big grassland, I want a big ocean. So you can win animals.
Look at that ocean.
And when you get an animal, it's either worth 1 point or 2 points. And that's pretty much the whole game. And it's really simple. The game is 12 turns. You're going to pick a tile each turn. But you get to pick it up and figure out where to put it. Not that hard. And when you're done, you have your own little planet. And it feels really cool. And I know I really like it a lot. And a lot of people, I've really had good success teaching this one.
12-sided geometrical shape. Is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay. And there's 12 rounds?
Or is that an
They did that on
icosahedron?
purpose.
Anyhow.
On purpose.
Anyhow, you just
Is
I
that
just
12 or
played this,
8-sided?
yeah.
you just played it. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I liked it. It's a nice one. This is like, I think you're right. It is tactile, the tactile nature
Yeah.
of it,
I've not played it.
of having like the whole thing, and you draft. It's just a really quick drafting game. In fact, after we played like 3 rounds, I was like, this is going to be over like 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
It almost takes longer to score than it does to play. You're like,
Yeah.
who wins this card? Hang on. Oh, I do. Oh, no, you have a bigger ocean area.
And then you choke people out. Yeah, don't play this if you have a violent tendency.
Choke people?
Choke people out.
Oh.
It's a player elimination
Choke
game as
people
well.
until they pass out.
Yes.
My word. Planet, my number 7.
Number 6.
That is a really long pause. My number 6 is area control. That simply means you're trying to control areas on the board. Just trying to subvert him there. So the one I picked for this one is a game called Small World. The
That
reason I
means
picked
a world
that's
just minute.
I just talked about that planet.
no.
That's Small Worlds.
Another thing about this is that it has variable player powers, which means that you interact with the board and the different things that are on the board slightly different than everybody else. Now, it's not a huge thing, I don't think. I've never had anybody complain to me that I'm having trouble understanding what my race does.
As long as you're playing with just the base game.
Yes, yeah. I mean, and that's how I think you should. I think it goes without saying almost that you should kind of do
For
that with
all
of
these
these
games, yes, for sure.
But Small World is really cool. It has a very simple area control mechanism. Combat is also very simple as well. You just have to have a certain number of tokens more than the area you're trying to combat against, and as long as you do, boom, it's done. So it's very simple that way. It's not overwrought as far as combat is concerned, and it's really fun. You're simply just trying to get the most points or coins by the end of the round. This also scales really well, from 2 to 5 players, I believe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 4, but I'm pretty sure it's 5 because it has 2, 3, 4, 5.
3, and 4, 5.
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
That
So-
was boards.
Yeah, boards. There you go. Thank you. So, Small World is my number 6.
I don't know. I feel like I would, again, at the level of player I'm thinking at, this would be like reference sheet, the game.
I guess, but I'm telling you again, at the beginning we talked about how I feel like sometimes we act as people are dumber than they are, and they're not. I've taught Small World to many people who I wouldn't consider to be gamers, and they picked it up. It's not that
Maybe
hard of a
it's me.
game.
It's just me then.
With the exception of the decline is a little tricky to teach people, but other than that.
Right. The turns, yeah. All right, my number 6 is a card game called Archeology, the New Expedition. You just put this on a list recently yourself.
Fantastic.
I really enjoy this game. It's a simple, this is a set collection card game. Actual set collection. Like you have a hand of cards, you collect sets. Hand management for reals. Anyway, in this one, you are on your turn. Just mess with it.
You know what else this game is? It's a game that came out in a simpler version, but then they added a few small things. Get the original.
There's actually nothing extra you will play with.
There is definitely extra things. They change out those center boards.
You only ever use one.
Sure. It's still different than the original.
Sure.
Hypocrite, thy name is Garcia.
You're stretching like a rubber band, baby. There you go. Eat it like that. Anyway, in this game, you are going to, on your turn, draw a card, possibly switch some cards out with a set of available cards in the center, and then if you want, play a set, like a meld, right? It's kind of rummy-esque, this game. And that's it. You keep going until the deck runs out, and then you score those melds that you played out on the table. For someone who likes rummy, this is a fantastic pick. There's a little bit of a confrontation in that sometimes when you draw a card from the deck, it's a thief. And what that means is you discard it and you pluck a card from someone else's hand. There's also sandstorms that come up sometimes, which make you want to not, they dissuade you from hoarding cards. If you are caught with a bunch of cards and when one of those sandstorms comes around, you're going to lose a bunch of them. So that's another thing. It keeps it keeps a little bit of tension in play at all times. I like it. Very pretty game, cute theme, nice artwork, very well produced game, nice card quality and all that. So yeah, I like this one a lot. Archeology, the New Expedition. Don't get the first one. It is not as attractive, and this one is better.
My number 6 is probably the most complex game on my list, but again, I'm just telling you, I had good success with it. I have to teach it when I play people, but I think the theme carries it through, and that's Clank. Not Clank in Space, not Clank with any expansions, not Clank Legacy, just straight up regular Clank.
Straight up Clank.
It is we're clanking it up. It is a deck building game in which you build your own little deck of cards and you go into a dungeon, move around, collect treasures, and get out. Very easy to explain to people. That pulling the cues from the bag is fun. As the thing is, you don't have to explain everything to everybody. As the cards pop up in a row, you're like, that's what that card does, and you explain it.
That is true. That is true.
And I found that the whole idea of getting in, getting out, which of course is in its sheer simplicity with ink and gold. But I'd rather play Clank because I feel like there's more of a game there behind it, and it has a great replayability. So
Ink and gold, you say?
I did, but I was saying Clank Deck Builder, actually. I really like this one. And we're definitely getting a lot of feedback in the comments about this, the levels here.
I want to hear it, son.
And, well, no, I mean,
How many hundreds of people agree with me?
actually, probably quite a few. No, but the fact is this is something people are going to disagree on in general.
Yep.
Like how low complexity is an introductory game.
How low can you go?
I think part of that's the teacher, obviously, because some people can make very complex games very understandable, and some people can make the simplest game sound
I
hard.
believe more shade is being thrown.
No, there's no shade being thrown at all. I'm saying that it depends, that has to do with a lot of it.
Oh, you got a machete?
No.
What? But-
it's in the car.
But I also think that as a general whole,
It really
we
is.
tend to treat people as if they are stupider than they appear. And people tend to
100%.
do that to themselves. They're like, oh, goodness. While if you said that, like if you went and got a new job and you came in and you're like, this is how we put the things over here. And you're like, oh, goodness. No one does that because they don't want to look stupid.
That's true.
But people tend to do it in board games, which always boggles my mind.
Oh, it's, yeah. Yeah, I know I have, I'll put it that way. I know I have in the past overestimated.
Your abilities to think.
No, not my abilities to think. The other person's interest in whatever game I pull out.
I get that. That's why I think a strong theme helps a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does, you're right.
All right. Anyway, we're only halfway done. Let's go.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5. You're waiting for it to show up, and here it is. It's a dice rolling mechanism, and it is...
Memoir 44.
No.
Oh, Age of War.
No. The other...
Red Codes and something. That one.
Dice
I don't know. I'm
rolling.
just saying all the games you always say.
Patriots
Bang
Red
the
Codes.
dice game.
Patriots and Red Codes. There you go.
It's
See,
one of
I knew
those
you
Wait,
games.
what
could
is
do
it?
Bang the dice game.
game.
Oh my word! I'm shocked.
That's
You
faux shock,
are-
everyone.
Faux shock? Is that a thing?
That
Yeah,
is
your
now.
faux
That's what
means
you're doing.
fake
What's wrong,
or
man?
false.
That's what you get for
Are
throwing
you
your
okay?
hat around the thing.
I'm not as limber as I used to
Having
be.
a stroke over
You're
there?
turning
What's wrong
red,
with you?
baby. You all right?
All
That
right.
hat looks very white right now. Just saying.
That looked more white than it did. Bang is that kind of game where you're going to be rolling dice, and you have in Yahtzee style format where you can keep some of them, re-roll others, and then keep some of those, and then have a second re-roll. So you can roll your dice 3 times in your turn, but you're trying to basically. It's also a team game where you have sheriffs and a sheriff and his deputies against outlaws, and then a what's the third guy called?
Renegade.
Renegade. Thank you. So you have 3 different teams, which is really the only complexity that's in the game. You have to figure out who is a member of the other teams, and you have to take them out before they take you out. And you simply do that by rolling dice. Your dice can do a lot of different things like damage other people, heal yourself. Sometimes the Native Americans will attack. There's a number of different things that can happen with the dice, but it's a very simple game of rolling dice, carrying them out, and then the next person gets to go. There is a little bit of player elimination in there, but the game is so short that it doesn't really matter that much. Because usually what will happen is somebody will get knocked out, and then the game really speeds up because everybody else is starting to get knocked out too, and then you have a winner, and then you can say, hey, let's play again. So I really do enjoy this game. It is a very good introductory game for a number of different people because of that very familiar Yahtzee style rolling.
Yes,
So that's my number 5, Bang the Dice Game.
I
What's the name of
agree.
that again?
And I agree with that. What you just said, that idea of teaching somebody a game where part of it is familiar.
Yeah.
That's why I think games in which the objective is to have the most money usually make good introductory games, as long as they're simple games.
As long as the people who are greedy, who you're teaching
Because of that
to.
right.
No, but most people know, like, board games, what's the thing? It's either like get to the end of a race first, most people understand that, or have the most money at the end. Most people understand that.
Or eliminate everybody else.
Or like
That's-
kill everyone else off the whole whatever the board is. So I like that. You're right. That Yahtzee thing, yeah, it feels familiar to most people.
Yep.
So that's a good call. All right, my number 5 is it's a classic, I think we can say at this point.
Checkers.
Ticket to Ride.
What?
Ticket to Ride, pick your flavor, whatever. Ticket to Ride, the original.
Oh, don't pick your flavor. Some of those are not good.
That's
for
true. That's true.
Pick your flavor.
Pick your core box.
Ticket to Ride or Ticket to Ride Europe?
Pick your original version of the game.
Pick
Your original version of the game.
anything but Wildlands. No, I'm kidding. No, what I mean by pick your flavor is U.S. if you want to play on the USA map.
Yeah.
Or Europe if you want to play on a European map. That's basically it. I know there's a Germany core set also. That's fine. You can do that too. What else is a core set? Nordic countries. That's fine.
It's only 3 players though.
That's only 3 players, which is fine.
No,
but
not the Nordic countries, is it?
Yeah, Nordic countries
it's
is 3 players only.
One of the colors is purple though.
No, it's Switzerland. That was only 3 players.
And Nordic countries.
Nordic countries also. You really got to get up on this whole gaming thing, man. Come on.
Now he's gonna look. I can tell. Look, he's got that smug look on his face.
Go ahead and do your thing.
I don't think so.
Will you go?
How many players is it? Where's my machete? Anyway, Ticket to Ride is actually kind of like Rummy also.
You're right. 2 to 3.
That hat, if it was a shoe, I would feed it to you.
Feed it to you? Oh, I get it.
Go.
Okay, got it.
Ticket to Ride is awesome. It's very light. It's very simple. It's a connection game. You're playing down cards to connect locations with your trains, and you are trying to have a route that runs from one place to another place as dictated by these little goal cards that you have. It's wonderful. Most people love it. It's sold extremely well, and if you haven't played it, you should.
I think it sells 50 million copies every year.
Every week.
No, that was the
Week?
Yahtzee, I think. All right. Z was correct earlier, was saying about the whole, if you already know the mechanism. So
I was
my number
right
5.
about something?
Well, barely. But my number 5
Holy.
has been on the list, I think, the last time I've done this.
You just agreed with me.
This one just does really well, always.
What is it?
King of Tokyo. Based on, if you know Yahtzee, you know King of Tokyo. You like giant monsters, you like King of Tokyo.
True.
It's, now, there are expansions and stuff that certainly make it more complex. But the base game, King of Tokyo, you roll dice, you try to get points, or punch the other monsters. Both options are equally valid towards winning, although one of them's better.
One of them's more fun, right, Tom?
One was more fun, but I just like the game. I'm not a big fan of player elimination in games, but this game's short enough that it doesn't really matter that much. It's just silly fun, and it's really held up well. It's like 8 years now or something. It's been around for a while.
This game is.
It had a revamp too.
Yeah, this is the second
Like a little
edition.
bit of a facelift type thing.
Yeah. This is a game that's really, in my opinion, I know it's dropped for some people. I still think it's so fun, man.
I was debating against Bang or this for my dice rolling category, but I just went with Bang because I like it a little bit better. I like that theme better.
Yeah. Well, I
did
like
the
the
same
giant
thing.
monster.
Actually,
yeah.
did the same thing with Las Vegas. Las Vegas is simpler.
Sure.
In this one, there's like a whole deck of cards, effects, powers. So as the game goes on, there's more for you to manage.
Sure, but I was trying to pick games that I feel like that I could play with people, and hey, it's a new game, and now it's play it a lot more.
That's true.
I don't
The
want a game that's so
replayability.
simple that I'm gonna, I'm sick of this game, and that's
sick of
why a
these
few
people.
games that might be considered should be on this list aren't on it because I burned out on them, and we'll probably talk about those at the end. But my number 5 now is King of Tokyo.
I like it.
Number 4.
Sorry.
What is going
I had
on?
to clear my throat a little bit. I apologize. My number 4 is worker placement, and it is probably my most introductory level worker placement game, Stone Age.
What? Your list is really surprising me.
I'm sure it is.
What? That's super
Another
true.
thing that another category that this fits into is dice rolling, because that's what you're doing to gain your different resources. You're going to take your workers from your village and put them out into different spots. The forest to go get wood, the stone quarry to go get rock, the gold mines to go get gold, and that type of thing. You can send them hunting and all that, but you're going to roll dice to see how much of that resource you're going to be able to get on that turn. That's not the only thing you're doing, though. You're also trying to build some different kinds of huts in your village that will score you different points. At the end of the game, you're just trying to get the most points, but it's a really simple worker placement game, and it's a very family weight level. I would definitely, we were talking about it earlier, of going with the base game for most of these things, and this is definitely where that rings true. I enjoy what the expansions do, but as far as an introductory level you need to stick with just the base game on this one.
Unless you hate division.
Huh?
I said unless you hate division.
Or if you feel like style is the goal.
Wow.
Wow, that was a
It's
stupid
not even
comment.
called that anymore.
I don't care, baby, old school.
It's called
The expansion.
yes, it's called Stone Age: The Expansion. That's
Yeah.
what it's called now.
That's
That's my
actually-
number 4.
That's a better name, actually.
It is Stone Age.
One game that I played not too long ago, and I thought to myself, this is the one I would now use to teach people worker placement, the newest Century. Century New World, or whatever that one's called.
Is that your number 4?
No. Have you played that?
Of course, man. I'm the Century. I'm the Century master.
Excuse me.
God,
Have
I'm
you played
offended.
it?
I'm offended.
No, I have not.
I think you'll
taught
like
it to
it.
you
It's
the-
really
I
basic.
taught it to you
also.
a month ago.
No,
Okay.
basic sounds bad. It's real clean. It's a
Yeah,
real
no,
clean.
I
intro.
got you. I know what you mean.
You taught it to me?
No,
I
I
wasn't
didn't.
paying attention to that. Anyway, my number 4 is actually a crossover with the illustrious Tom Vassell.
You realize you always lean the other way before you point to that person.
And he
don't know what you're
always
talking
uses
about.
illustrious-
We're never surprised by this.
Nope.
What are you guys trying to say? You're both
You're
illustrious
getting predictable
people.
in your old age is what it is.
What do you think it is, my number 4? It's a crossover with you.
Well, I don't think you would have put... Well, the only one on my list that you would have is either Planet or King of Tokyo. Because you said no to Oni Tama.
That's right.
And you made fun of my other picks.
And I also said no to King of Tokyo like
So then it has
2
to be...
minutes ago.
You just played Planet and already made
I
your
do what
list?
I want, Thomas!
Really?
Yeah, baby, Planet!
Wow!
For everything Tom said, the end.
Ooh.
It's got magnets also, kids.
That's called efficiency.
Kids, it has magnets.
Our refrigerator, we should put Planet magnets all over it. Maybe that's who took our game.
Why are you
All right.
cackling maniacally about
Because
magnets?
magnets.
Magnets.
All right, my number 4, Z almost just mentioned,
Laser.
but it's not the third one. It's still the first and the best, and this is I said it was a Splendor killer. It's one of my games of choice. If someone comes to our game store and says,
Splendor was a splendor killer for me.
well, anyway,
Hate
but
that game.
this is the game that when someone comes to our local game store and says, I'm new, what game should I play? This is
jumps
always
out.
the one I bring out first. And that is Century Spice Road or Century Golem Edition. They're the same thing, just different themes.
Yes.
This game works so well. I've never seen it fail, I think. It's simply pick a card. And I mean, if you think about it, the game itself, there's some complexity behind some of the things you're trying to do. You're trying to build an engine of, I play this card to get this, and then I play this card. But it's so easy, and your turns are so fast, and it scales, and it's just an amazing game. I do like the third one a lot, and I don't think the third one is actually that complex.
That's what I mean.
But I like the third one even better than the first, actually. But I think the first is the best if you've never tried it before.
Oh, sure.
to
All
get
things
in.
being equal, I'll teach this one first.
Yes.
But if I'm teaching worker placement as a mechanism, as a concept, I can't think of anything that's better, man, right now.
Stone Age.
No, I think this is better.
I haven't played the other one, so
I mean, not better. You might like one better. I think it's simpler. That's what I'm saying.
That's a tough call. I like Lords of Waterdeep too, though.
Lords of Waterdeep, I feel, is way more complex. It's got a lot more.
Sure. Okay, well, anyway, this game, amazing.
Manhattan Project.
Century Spice
kidding,
Road.
don't-
I was
please
about
don't
to
use
come
that.
over there and say something.
Don't use it.
All right, let's go to number 3s.
Number 3.
And this is where I'm probably going to get the most hate. Because
Good, because so far it's been me.
card drafting. So, what game would I have used to introduce card drafting to people?
Well, Fairy
Seven
Tale.
Wonders.
You love Fairy Tale.
Yes. Yeah.
Come on, cat.
That was a trick question.
No, it wasn't.
This
Because
is
he's talked against
super
it.
innovative.
No, it is not super innovative.
You don't
Not
think this
even
game is
close.
innovative?
No, because Fairy Tale came out like 2 years before.
Sam?
Yeah, but it does not do what this game does.
Sam, you're
Yes,
not
it
getting
In this
any-
game, you have a hand of cards. You take one. What do you do with the rest of them? You pass them to the next player. Ain't no Fairy Tale doing that.
Okay. Sam, I have your back on this game. I think this is easily taught to new people.
And the reason I think that is probably with you on this game, talking about whether or not I should use this game as an introductory game, until I tried it with my high school students on an easy day at school one time, and they picked it up and they loved it and they asked to play it again. And
But
they
instead of doing schooling, you mean? Because I
come
would.
on. Of course they're not. They're going to enjoy playing games. No, but it was a day where we had no academics planned. It was like one of those extra days that you have to be at school because the state tells you to, and you don't. If you're a teacher, you know what I mean. Anyway.
I do.
They really picked up, and we're talking about, we had a smattering of different kinds of students. We had jocks, we had, everybody was there, and they all
Sincerely,
enjoyed it.
the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I'm serious.
All right.
There was
There
a
was a
very,
deleted scene in that movie where they all gathered around and played Seven Wonders.
That would be
boy.
amazing.
Oh boy. Oh boy. I want to become a director now so I can make that happen. I'm going to redo the Breakfast
Breakfast Club 2.
Yes, exactly.
Seven Wonders.
Anyway, this works incredibly well. Yeah, they're not going to get all of the concepts. They're not going to know how to capitalize on the science and tech and all that kind of stuff with their first game. No, they're not. But they are going to understand very quickly how the game plays, and they're going to understand the different things that are going on. Of course, they're not going to understand all of the other eccentricities of the game. They're not supposed to. Nobody does. But it works really well as an introductory game, and it definitely enters into that card drafting mechanism very simply. And it's a historically themed game, so you can really capitalize on that with historically people that like history. So there you have it. My number 3, Seven Wonders.
Good choice.
Yeah.
I said.
The hate's going to flow online. I'm
no,
almost
No,
guaranteed.
you're not getting much hate
I
here.
think I feel it. But again, I do this. I know. I'm sorry. I go simpler.
Yeah.
My drafting game, which I did think about putting on the list, I didn't because it might be hard to get. I don't know. Sheep and Thief.
Nah, that's good.
You've played that with me, and it is really simple,
Yeah,
very
it is.
cute. Like if I'm teaching drafting, Sheep and Thief, man, is really light. Seven
Otter
Wonders is
disagrees with you. He says he finds Seven Wonders too dry for an introductory game. That's what I say too. But thank you for your donation.
Oh my goodness. All right, my number 2 is quite possibly the best game ever made in the history of humanity. Pandemic.
What a shock!
It's better than Bang the Dice game.
Wait a minute. Then
It's
why is it
better
showing
than-
Downforce?
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah, Downforce.
Yes! Get off my case when I did it!
Oops.
All right, well, no, never mind. I don't know what you're talking about, guys. I was trolling you. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Downforce is quite possibly the best game ever made.
And yeah, I mean, it got
It's such-
remade, so it's got to be the best, right?
All right, this was on my short list. This is a really good racing game to teach new people.
Yes, it is.
Yes, have some.
I'm still laughing. Anyway, no, I like this one because the racing part is so simple. There's going to be a little bit of bidding, which is fun to like put bets on the car you think is going to win, whether it's your own car or not. And then yes, you have one little special power at the beginning of the game. But the gameplay, the way you run the cars, it's all card driven. You are just playing a card, and then it tells you which cars move on the track and how far. It's so fast. I like that. It's a nice one-to-one with the way it should feel. Whereas oftentimes when you're playing a game that's supposed to be about racing, it's kind of slow. And you're like, yeah, I get the concept and the things we're doing are really intricate, but also I'd like to move, and in this one you're going to
I
get
like
that.
to move it. Go ahead.
I like to move it.
I really like this. The reprint, as Sam was saying, this is a reprint of a game that's actually been reprinted 6 times under a bunch of different names. This new one, it looks stellar. It's well produced. The little cars are a nice, eye-catching bit. The whole thing looks really good. I really like this a lot. And if you happen to get into it, you want a little bit more, there's even extra tracks available for it, where you can play on a different scenario, basically, a different location in the world. So there you go. My number 3, Downforce.
Downforce.
My number 3 is more complex than Catan, but it's killed Catan, and it's killed almost every game in this genre for me. I am
Astra.
consistently playing this game all the time. Ad Astra, yeah, no. That's the new movie with Brad Pitt.
That's it.
That looks like a really good movie.
But this is Space Base. And every time I've taught
You
this to...
love this thing.
I
I
really
expect
do.
to see this bad boy in your top 10.
I don't know if it's there, but I'm telling you,
I'm
when
telling
it
you
comes
what
to,
I want to see. And you'll make it
when
happen.
it comes to grabbing a game off the shelf and teaching people, I really like this one. You roll dice in your turn, and whatever you roll, you get some money, you buy some more cards, but as the game goes by, you get more and more. It's definitely a spin-off Machikoro, which could make a list like this. And what's the Valeria Card Kingdoms could have made this list, although that one's a little bit more complex. There's a few cards in Space Base that are a little weird, but for the most part,
OP,
every time I
sorry.
teach this, it's just crazy. And I almost pulled off the You Win card, but I didn't.
And you almost weren't there for it also.
But
He
it
didn't
was
do it,
my...
right?
He didn't do it, but it was my strategy.
He had to step away from a game that was wrapping up, and he was again shooting for that one card. There's one card that, if you get a lot of things right, could win you the game. Boom, no scoring, you win. He's been
I had
trying.
it set up.
He's been trying to do it now for a long time, right? You love that.
It's
Shoot
gonna
the moon.
happen.
Yeah.
Shoot the moon thing.
All right, but I love this game. Space Base, fantastic.
Good stuff.
Number 2.
All right, I think this is the second newest game on my list.
Tapestry.
And my number one will be the newest game
Will you
on
stop
the list.
shouting Tapestry?
No, it's not Tapestry.
My review of Tapestry is coming out at 2:30 today.
Ooh.
Thank you, Z.
All right. My number 2, this is about variable player powers. Now, Z was talking about variable player powers earlier, how he doesn't think it belongs in a gateway game because it's a little bit too convoluted because
if there's-
you're trying to do different things.
You already did that with Small
You're
World.
not really doing that. Yes, that's true, but that was for area control. This one is variable player powers.
Okay, sorry.
And it's called Run, Fight, or Die. And I'm going to say Reloaded because that's the one that's available right now. Now, Run, Fight, or Die also has the zombie theme going for it, and that's really popular as well. So if you have people who are zombie fans or whatever you want to call it, this might be one that you want to pull out because it, first of all, has that Yahtzee dice rolling mechanism, but it also has the variable player powers that are simple. And the reason I say they're simple is because you're not
simple.
doing different things. You're all doing the same thing. You're trying to kill zombies and survive.
Aw.
But you do it a little bit differently than everybody else
With
does
a bat.
it. So
With barbed wire on it.
I
Because
think
that's the only way you can
it
have a bat.
works really well as an introductory game, especially if the people you're trying to introduce it to already have draws on those other things, like, you know, dice rolling. That's familiar for everybody. But zombies, hey, you like zombies, you like Walking Dead, you like this, you like that, whatever. I got this game that I think you'll enjoy. And the reprint really pops on the table.
Yeah.
It really pops. So I think that's a huge thing. Games that look good are just more fun to play. My number 2, Run, Fight, or Die, Reloaded.
I agree with Sam on this one. I have to say, games that look good are more fun to play.
Not arguing that.
Profound.
What's your number 2, I wonder?
My number 2 is quite possibly the best game that's ever been made in the history of humanity. It's Pandemic.
Please be something else.
That would be great. No, That'd be weird. I said Pandemic as a mistake, but the mistake was a joke? No, I messed up. Yeah, Pandemic. Cooperative game. It's a game you don't have to teach all the rules up front if you don't want to. That's another thing about co-op games that's great. Like, oh, let's play this game. Let me explain all 15 card types that show up in this.
Right.
This is not like that. There's very few, funky cards, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. I love cooperative gaming for that. No confrontation. That's a plus for most people. I can teach as I go and give you hints if you need them to kind of find your footing. But also, you can just pop a question, it's as we're playing. You can be like, well, I don't know what that does. And I can help you without you feeling like, well, I don't want to show you the card.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to, know something you shouldn't.
Oh, yeah, it happens a lot in games.
So I like this a lot. It's a theme that seems, most people find this theme cinematic, I think. This idea of dun-dun, group of heroes.
Yeah.
Fighting off diseases, outbreak, hot zone kind of vibe to it.
Yep. And the legacy version really ratchets that up, but don't use the legacy versions as the introductory.
Sure, right.
Use the
If you
base
want to
game.
double down on the story after you've
Yes.
played this a while,
Yes.
then yeah, the legacy one's going to tell you something based in Pandemic, but it's going to be all about that story, a completely new story. But this is a good jumping on point. So there you go, Pandemic, my number 2 pick.
Well, actually, I kind of almost completely agree with Z on my number 2. I think the cooperative thing, a theme that people can get behind, but my 2 is a different cooperative game. And it is easily the newest game on any of our lists.
Nah, I don't know.
Just came out. It's available at, I think, Targets everywhere, and that's Horrified.
Oh, yes.
Horrified is, I'm telling you, everyone knows Dracula and Frankenstein and the Mummy and all, and I know this one works because I played it with my 9 and 10-year-old, and they were able to understand it and get behind it. It's not too scary. At the same time, it makes you almost feel like it's a little scary.
Sure.
And you work together to stop these monsters. You can make it as hard as you want by putting in 4 monsters, which I don't think I'll ever do.
That's right.
But you can play with 2, it's really easy. 3 is kind of the nice, difficult, sweet spot. And some of the monsters are harder than others. You'd be surprised, the most difficult monster in this game, an invisible man, because he keeps stealing your stuff.
You can't see him. Of course he's the most difficult.
I know! But it's really strong thematic. It's great looking. The whole thing just has a good look to it. And I like Pandemic, the idea of, hey, we're going to stop the world from dying of disease. That's a noble thing. But more noble than that, stopping Frankenstein and Dracula. Maybe not, but it's certainly fun.
Hey, man, that's
Frankenstein's monster.
It's debatable.
Hello.
I think it's debatable, that question.
Dracula or bubonic plague?
Bubonic plague. We need to stop that first.
No.
You're
Dracula is the one spreading it. Who you think invented mosquitoes? Yellow plague? That was Dracula.
Hey, my number 2, Horrified. Let's go to number 1.
Psych.
And finally, number 1.
What is this? What's this? What's this? It's pokey everywhere.
What's this? What's this?
A 2.
It's yanking out.
Come on, double ones.
Dose.
Double ones.
Bam!
Double ones. Also a 2
as well.
A 1 or a 2. A 1 or a 2.
Oh, what
I'll
a
take a
beast.
6.
What a beast.
What's
Take a
the
6,
order,
Alex.
Samuel?
Call you La Bestia.
Let's just keep it real and keep it. I like the flow we got going today.
I'm the only person that ever changes it up.
Well, we enjoy things the way they are sometimes. You know?
Stuck in a rut. All right, go ahead, Sam.
fear
Stuck
change.
in a rut.
And you're to blame, darling. You give mudslinging a bad name. Anyway, I don't know. My number 1
Wait, are we trying to
mechanism-
guess?
Huh?
I don't even know.
Oh,
what your
sure.
number-
Go ahead.
Memoir 44.
You want me to give you the mechanism?
Well,
Sure.
I'm pretty sure we'll get it if you give us that.
Is it World War II fighting?
No, it's cooperative play. That's my favorite mechanism of all time.
Well, you already did the Runes of Astros, or whatever that
I
one
did.
is. And you like that one a lot.
I do.
What other cooperative game does Sam love?
You're not going to guess this.
Why?
Again, it's the newest game on the list. This is like super new.
What's the company?
Libellude.
Oh, really? Obscurio?
Yeah. Obscurio.
Wow.
Yeah, Obscurio.
You
Cooperative
smart, you
play
smart.
with the traitor aspect. This has replaced Shadows over Camelot as far as an introductory cooperative game experience. Oh my goodness. Because people have always say, well, don't you play
I feel
Shadows
faint.
over Camelot?
I feel pain.
Don't you play?
Smell this.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Don't you play Shadows over Camelot where there might or might not be a traitor? And the question is always, no, I don't play it like that, because that's part of the whole thing with Shadows over Camelot is that somebody here is working against us. We need to figure out who it is. That's what I liked about Shadows over Camelot. That's exactly what this does. This has also replaced Mysterium for me, although really Mysterium was kind of outdone with Deception, Murder in Hong Kong as well.
Sure.
Is this a little easier than Mysterium? The final level for Mysterium is a little wonky, I thought.
Yes, this is.
I think Mysterium is a little wonky, period.
Oh, good. So not alone.
Obscurio is a lot better at giving me the same feel that Mysterium, but it does it a whole lot better.
I agree.
And it's much more fun for everybody at the table. I mean, sometimes with Mysterium, if you're the person given the clues, you're like, oh man, there's nothing I can do here. I'm going to give this card. And you look at them like, sorry, that's all I got for you. And the guy's like going, I don't know, let's flip a coin and do this. Obscurio is not like that. Now, it's very true that you can pick your clues and give it to the people, and they're running in the opposite direction that you want them to run in, and you're like, okay, we ain't going past this round, so we got to start thinking about next round. But it is so much fun, and it, again, on a kind of monotone kind of way, it still pops on the table. You know, most of the time when we say a game pops, it's very flashy, it's very colorful, it's very this, it's very that. This is a little bit more, I guess you could say, elegantly flashy.
Well, it kind of has that whole Harry Potter
Classy.
library vibe to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's got that very brown,
very
monotone look, but then it has
I
all
don't think
these
it's
splashes
vibrant,
of
but
color
it is
all in.
rich.
Yeah.
You can almost smell the books and kind of, you know, again, I'm stretching here, but
That wasn't the books. Anyway.
You ruined that vibe. Thanks.
I did.
I
Anyway,
hope
this
Sam paints a picture of
This
it.
is a super good game. It almost has a party-esque feel to it, but it's much more elegant than party games are, I think. So that's my number one, Obscurio.
All right, my number one is a game that Tom. What?
I'm trying to guess your number one.
For gateways?
Well, I thought it would be Pandemic, right? So we put Pandemic at
Again,
2.
I went from
LCR.
all I did was make them slightly more complex than the last one, in my opinion.
Oh, slightly more
Oh,
complex.
then this kind of cancels what my pick was. I was going to pick the current king of gateway games,
What's that?
which would be Azul.
I would say Azul is slightly more complicated than Pandemic.
Oh, okay. Anyway, what's your number one?
It's not Azul. I think Azul's a little too obtuse.
Maybe, but I've had such great luck teaching it.
What would be slightly more
It's actually something
difficult than Pandemic?
Tom mentioned in passing in our video. It's not one of his picks, right? Or was it one of his picks? Let me see your list, except for the bottom one.
Horrified, Space Base, Century, King of Tokyo, Clank, Planet. Okay, you don't care about it after that.
I don't know, you did not put it on there, but you mentioned it at one point.
Sure. Catan.
Was it one of the two that you
Carcassonne.
mentioned originally? No, it can't be.
I don't know.
Like you
Give-
picked
give us a
3
hint.
for 10.
What's the
give us a hint.
category?
It's a racing game.
Jamaica.
Nope.
Wow, and I said Downforce was the racing game, and Jamaica, what did I say was the other racing game? I mentioned it at that point, and I forgot what I said now.
Camel Up.
Oh, you're right. Oh, Camel Up. Really? That's your number one. I almost put this on my list. That would have been great, but it wasn't, so now it doesn't happen.
Camel Up is, especially this version, this is technically second edition of this game.
So much better.
Yeah,
It's
much
very
better.
vibrant, it's well made, it's well constructed, it's got a goofy, kind of tongue-in-cheek theme. It's got some dice chucking in it. It's going to lead to cheering and betting on what camel you think is coming in first. And then the luck is going to turn on you, and you're going to realize you bet on a camel that starts to fall behind. So you're like, oh no, okay, I'm going to switch from that one to I'm going to betting on this one now. The whole thing is top to bottom filled with those kinds of moments. Those moments of, don't you move that camel. And then, it's a random thing. You shake this pyramid with dice in it and press a button, and one die pops out with a color, and that's the camel you move. But the whole thing is like going to a live sporting event, the weirdest one ever. But yes, that's the,
That camel got on top of the other camel.
because it's like camels.
So weird. What's going on, Daddy? Shut up.
Camels running this way, two camels running the other way, messing with what you think is going to happen. It's a fun game. It's a little more complicated, a little bit with the betting and so forth, but it is just a fun time. This one is going to, whether you win or lose in this game, I think you're going to, at the end of the game, have a big grin on your face.
Yeah, you're going to have fun playing the game.
You know what I mean? That's what I like about it.
This is one of the biggest games that has gone up for me. When this beat
agree.
Splendor, I was like, how could this game
Camel
beat
Up.
Splendor?
Oh,
But yes.
I agree. So yeah, that's my pick. Camel Up.
My number one is very there's no big surprise here. This has been my number one in this list for the longest of
Ticket to
times.
Ride?
And it's Ticket to Ride. This is just the ultimate. This is the game I'm thinking I need to give someone a gift of a game. Ticket to Ride, if they don't own it already.
Sure.
You know, hey, you want to play this with your partner? Ticket to Ride. 2-player game works well. There's 4 of you? Ticket to Ride. You got 3 kids? Ticket to Ride. You got 4? Play something else. But for everyone else, Ticket to Ride works. And I still kind of lean towards the original one. Europe's a little easier, but well, we live in America, so
It
most
depends
people I
where
know.
you're familiar with.
Sure. And there's the anniversary edition, and now they just released the amazing 15th anniversary edition,
It's hot.
which I think is basically just the new version of the game that you can buy, right? But whatever. But it just, people like the trains. People like rummy-esque style games. That's what it is. Collect cards, lay sets.
Familiarity. That's
This
what it
is straight up. It's still king for me in this. I mean, sure, Century, Horrify, these other ones come close, and maybe someday they'll pass it. But for me, this is the ultimate. If someone comes and goes, "What kind of?" This is the game that if someone finds out what we do for a job, and they're not in board game at all, they always come and be like, "What's your favorite game?" And I never answer that question. I always like sidestep it and say, one of the games I really like is Ticket to Ride, because I know they're going to go look up maybe what I said. And I don't want them finding Gloomhaven or Cosmic Encounter, online.
I actually had somebody ask me that just a few months ago, and I looked on their desk and they had a penguin there.
You were like, Blood Rage!
Yes, no.
I smashed the penguin.
I said ice cool. And then I was talking to her a little bit later, and she said, I bought that for my family, and I'm buying it for a few other families for Christmas or something to that
And
effect.
also, stop looking at things on my desk.
Oh, wow. Someone did the average Board Game Geek weight for our lists. So Sam is 1.91, 1.54, and 1.92. I feel that's pretty good. We're all lower than
the
2.
lowest, right?
So what about...
1.9, 1.9, 1.5? Is that what you said?
No, 1.54.
1.9, 1.9.
Yeah.
1.91, 1.92.
Yeah, okay, so you guys are almost the same.
Yeah.
Again, I figured my games are a little lighter, yes.
Better.
It
Yeah.
tracks.
Better games.
Now here's your chance. If you're watching live, what are games we didn't
All
talk
right,
about?
yeah.
The 2 big ones that we didn't mention, the ones that have always been on people's lists, are Catan and Carcassonne. Catan didn't make my list because I'm personally sick of playing it.
Yeah, me too.
I think
And
there's
Carcassonne
better
just didn't make the
choices.
list. But Carcassonne always has that wonky...
I think Catan, there are better choices for games that do very similar things, unless you are absolutely infatuated with trading with other players. Then yeah, that's still a really good choice for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Carcassonne, I actually don't think it's that good of a gateway game.
Some of them
Carcassonne
can
has
be.
some bizarre bits to
Well,
it.
sure, but I think some of the
Scoring for
themed
you're talking about farmers.
Yeah,
and
it's
Yeah,
like,
but there's some themed
what?
variations of Carcassonne that are pretty simple.
Some of the spin-offs I think would be better, yeah.
All right, people are saying, okay, all kinds of things. King Domino's won.
It
I
was on
don't,
my short list.
I don't like it as much as other people do.
Definitely on my short list.
Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is not a bad gateway game. I'm just not a huge Harry Potter fan. I think it's okay.
Okay.
The Mind. Sam almost had that one. Everyone thought Sam was going to put Deception.
I agree, but I think Obscurio is an easier concept to teach.
Much prettier too.
Yes, and it looks better. But no, don't get me wrong. I love Deception Murder in Hong Kong. It's a great game.
Really, there are hundreds of games I could put in this category.
Sure,
This
of
was not a
course.
list where I was like, oh, I can't think of anything.
Yes.
And that's why someone said no thanks. Great game, just didn't make
Yes.
the list.
Yeah.
Ingenious, so that one's a little out. Forbidden Island, says Otter, and also
Yes.
Forbidden Desert.
Desert, yes.
Both of those work really well, although you probably say Pandemic is your choice over
I
them.
thought about putting Forbidden Desert on the list. I actually thought Forbidden Island might track too simple. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't need to be that simple.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe Forbidden Desert, but I have found sometimes the storm moving mechanism throws people off a little bit. So I was like, Pandemic.
Yeah.
I did think about it. I don't just put these things on the list without thinking
We're
about
getting
it.
so many
I do.
responses. People are
know.
saying Timeline, which is actually a good choice.
Yes, good.
Yes, it is.
Sushi Go, that
Sure.
works for a lot of people. Potion Explosion. People, if you play an app at all, you know Potion Explosion.
Okay,
Sure,
maybe.
sure, okay.
Concept, although I would argue Concept's not a strong game, but it's a fun activity.
Yeah, I like just one better, so that was my pick for that.
A lot of people are saying nonsense. Codenames is one a lot of us didn't mention. That's considered
That's fine.
this now. I just tend to.
See,
Codenames
when you were
pictures.
talking about villainous, I was actually thinking, why would I not start a Disney fan with Disney codenames? Why would
Yeah,
I
I
jump
guess-
all the way to villainous, which definitely has more going on with it?
I know, but I think people like that. There's so much art in the game, and I don't know. The
That's true. It does look pretty.
Takinoko, is that even available to get now?
Takanoko, this happened to me personally. I had the same exact thought. This is a good introductory game. Sat down to teach it to non-gaming folks I might or might not be related to. You don't realize how much is in that game until you sit down to teach it.
Is it the die?
Yeah.
There are 6 things to explain on the die, technically 5. There are 3 categories of scoring cards. There is bamboo growth patterns, water irrigation concepts at play. There's a
and
lot
city
in
council.
city
just-
council. Well, it always sounds like I'm talking about city planning over here, right?
Yes, you do.
There's a lot in this game. I will disagree with that pick. I think
All
there's
right.
more there than you think
You
for a
realize, than
non-gamer.
you
Yeah.
realize,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sagrada and Azul, both of those.
Yeah.
Definitely core versions, though. You put the expansions in for them.
Yeah.
Well, sure, but I think that was Tokaido.
Tokaido has a lot of little bits you have to explain, but
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Stockpile. That's probably too much. That's stock market. I think there's too many things going on in that game.
That's a bad
You
game.
like stockpile?
I do. I just don't like stock market
I don't
Mexican
like
concepts.
train.
I would hate somebody who's like, "Hey, you want to get into gaming? Let's talk about the stock market, kid." Like, no thanks. I'll go knit.
Mexican train.
No, Mexican Train's a bad game. Please stop. Teach people.
What is Mexican?
Mexican train's a version of Domino's.
Dominoes. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Teach
but,
people other
man.
games that use dominoes. I will teach you. All right.
How about Santorini?
I thought about it.
Yeah,
Because
that's a good one.
you only have to teach one rule of the. You teach the rule of the game, and then each person gets one more rule.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's asymmetrical, so I'm just saying. See?
Well, I would play without it. That's optional.
Oh, okay. Love letter.
Don't like the game.
Yeah, sure.
Zombie kids, yes, but that's for kids. In this list, we're specifically,
About
I think,
zombie
talking about
adults,
zombie adults. Well, for Sam said for sale, Spyfall. Spyfall works, but the problem I have with Spyfall is I feel like I need to lubricate the group in a sense of. No, whatever.
I know what you meant. I know what you
need
meant.
to.
I'm sorry.
I
That
need to be
sounded
a
hilarious.
lube.
I need to be a catalyst. If it's really easy for Spyfall to just not move anywhere. It's your turn to ask a question.
Just be careful. You have to be careful
the
about
one-
lubricating and being a catalyst at the same time. That's a combustion.
True.
Thank
the
you,
thing
Zeke
with
Garcia.
Spyfall, the thing with Spyfall is that it could be that the spy is the first person to go, and that's very problematic if you're talking about having you're introducing to a bunch of new people, because not only are they not really savvy on playing games, now you're telling them to go first, and they have absolutely nothing to go on. It just really clutches up.
All right, well, here's what you guys can do. If you're watching this not live, once you watch this later on, if you think there's one that we missed and you think it's a good one, just say the name of the game. Just say the name of the game only as your comment, and then go look for names of games that you agree with and thumb them up, and we'll see what thumbs to the top, right? So if we missed a game and then there's a lot of people like it, we'll thumb to the top, so that way you can look at the most thumb contributions and find some more good games.
There you
Yes,
go.
absolutely.
It's a good idea.
That's a good one.
Thanks so much for watching. I know this was a slightly longer one. We appreciate 1,000 of you showing up. We will be back tomorrow with a back talk talking about the best-selling games of June and July. I know it's September. We're catching up here. We'll be
It's
back
still valid, folks. It's 2 months old. All right, it's fine.
It's okay.
in about 5 minutes. Though is Tapestry.
Forget
I guess
those old games.
no, it's out now. So Tapestry's old. So it's like moving on. What's next?
What's next?
And other things are coming out, reviews and things. We'll be back tomorrow. And then we'll see you guys as the week goes by. Our top 10 list next week is our top 10 horror-themed games.
Oh!
Preparing you for the month of December, the most horrible.
The month of December.
What? Until next time, I'm Tom Vessel.
I'm Z Garcia. Thank you.
Sam Healy. See you on the flip side, folks. Take care.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando, in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.